Welcome, everybody, to a very sad episode of Bleach Boys. As you can see, we are one man down. This was the Nemu episode that we've all been hoping for. Unfortunately, Jose, he just couldn't compose himself to make it to this episode. It was truly too heart-wrenching for him to watch the episode, come back, and talk about it in further detail. He considers it something along the lines of losing a pet. You know, he really, it hit him right in the heart, and he sent us a couple of nice messages, and he just said he can't make it.
I'm glad to see that he is being represented by a can of soda on a chair.
I don't know if anybody else can see that, but there is a memorial Coke of, I think it's Coke Zero, a can of Coke Zero sitting on Jose's chair. So that's how he would want to be remembered. In reality, Jose had something else to do for this episode. We just like to shit on him because this is the episode where Nemu dies. Everybody clap your hands. Everybody was cheering all over the place. Now, you may be wondering, Sam, Christmas isn't for a couple more weeks. What's with the very beautiful Bleach Christmas sweater, by the way?
It's the drip.
And I just thought, when I was getting ready for today, what am I going to wear for the podcast? And in my mind, the only thing I can think of is this day for me is up there. I'm so excited, just like it's Christmas. So I put on the Christmas sweater, came onto the podcast, and here we are.
You could say that the theme for this episode for Sam is celebrate.
Pythes, what did you think of the episode?
I thought it was a really good episode. My only issue is I'm a little upset that all the episodes have been good. I kind of want to complain about something, but there's nothing to complain. It's good. I can't complain, and I'm upset that it's too good.
That is a great point, where I think if there's one thing that we can say here is the consistency across this season has been very good. They have kept it strong every single episode. Puro Films has just come in kicking, and I even feel like the animation for Pernida was better in this episode, so they even improved.
Like, I noticed the CG once and it didn't bother me, and that's about it.
I would say, in terms of a beautifully composed episode, this is up there for me. For Core 3, I think the music they were playing at certain parts, the very fluid animation with Mayuri kind of flying around on his jet boots, it had some of the most dynamic action. I loved it.
Like, we have disagreements about Core 2. I really liked it. You didn't. I think that's fair. There was a lot to like and a lot to hate about that core. So far, all these episodes have been bangers.
And I gotta give it up to whoever was that beautiful, magnificent bastard that animated Nemu dying. That was so grotesque and so nasty when she like inflated like a goddamn water balloon and exploded. I can't imagine that ever happening to my waifu, because that would just set me back a million years.
Man, we all picked like the worst waifus, because Sam's gets exploded, my wife and my sister-in-law get shot on screen, and Sam's, you're so irrelevant she will never show up in the show again.
That's really hurtful. Mine has a very good chance of coming to relevancy in the Hell Arc. Maybe the Hell Arc will have some relation to why the Shibas were kicked out of the royal family in the canon timeline.
Well, imagine if there's like a dead Captain Shiba in hell.
Mm-hmm. It could happen. It's a long lineage. They were royal families.
I just want Ichigo to acknowledge them as cousins. That's all I want.
I would dig that. I feel like it's always been the other side acknowledging Ichigo. Ichigo's never acknowledged it. Well, let's kick off the episode. This is titled, it actually has two titles for this episode: Baby Hold Your Hand 2 and Never Ending Dream.
I have one issue. It has nothing to do with Bleach. It has to do with Hulu. Why the fuck are the Japanese subtitles turned off by default?
I hate Hulu for watching Bleach as a whole. I think it is such a dog shit experience, and the subtitles are so bad. I think watching on Hulu is the worst you can ask for.
It is like, if you have the means, please support your favorite shows. But I almost wish I could just pirate it just so I didn't have to look at the shitty subtitles.
Yep. Amen. I agree the same way.
And every time I start the episode, I'm like, all right, here we go, baby, more Bleach. They're talking. Oh, fuck, I have to turn on subtitles. Why? Why isn't it just on by default? It's Japanese language. Mm-hmm. There's my Hulu rant.
Let's start the episode. We go back immediately to what we saw actually in the previous episode with Mayuri, where he is laughing outside of Ashisogi Jizo, and he's like, hey, like, how's your stomach doing? And he's like, you know what? Good idea that I made you born without teeth, because if you chewed it, he could have multiplied in your belly. You probably wouldn't have survived that. And then, as we had already seen, Ashisogi Jizo then fucking explodes by a bunch of arrows being shot from inside of the stomach, and Pernida frees himself, letting out a same old psycho laugh that Mayuri made. And he's like, I sound alike? Me mimic you. You forgot Pernida is Quincy. And I love this clapback from Mayuri here. He's like, I didn't forget that you were a Quincy. I just didn't think that the Soul King's arm would shamelessly lower himself to become a Quincy.
Damn.
And Pernida is like, what the fuck? And he's like, how is that shameless? I have always been a Quincy, and me fed up with your bad mouthing of Quincy's. And then for a second, we see during that exchange, Pernida gets like a grown-up voice. Like he has this nasally, annoying little teenager voice that he has right now. And then he becomes a very and Mary is like, wait a goddamn second, what just happened there? And he's like, is it evolving, or is it regaining the memories of it as a Soul King? And just then, as Mary's mid-thought, Pernida then launches a whole bunch of arrows, and we get this beautiful shot of just Mary zipping around everywhere, dodging arrows that now have veins and nerves attached to them. And just then, as he notices that one of the nerves grabs Mary's arm, he doesn't miss a second, explodes it right off. But that same arrow goes right past Mary towards the ground, and nerves from the ground pick it up, bend it, shoot it back up, and that's when we see none other than Nemu come back and grab the arrow, cutting off her own arm as well to escape the explosion. And just as Nemu begins to fall, Mayuri looks over, sees she's going right into a pit of nerves. Mayuri touches the ground first, jumps over, catches Nemu, and Mayuri gives her a fucking quick little talk to you, like, you fool, like, I didn't order you to step in. If you had fallen to the ground, you'd have turned into a meatball. And Nemu, first time ever, thinking for herself, she said, I judge that you needed a shield in this battle. And Mayuri replies, I don't recall ever teaching you to assist me at your own discretion. And Nemu was like, nope, you didn't.
You didn't.
And Mayuri replies, are you saying you learned on your own without my teaching you? And I feel like this is what it's like to have a conversation with like a toddler, where they just are going to give you like one word answers. You're trying to have this conversation with them where Mayuri's like, hey, did you learn that on your own? She's like, I don't know. And then Mary's like, Nemu, or rather Nemuri number 7. And I love this correlation with Ichigo, where like Ichigo is this big cause where it has just sent everything down the shitter. Mary's like, ever since Ichigo Kurosaki and his bunch showed up, you've been through a great many battles and I've taught you too many things. Do you understand the toll it will take on me to develop the next you to what you are now? And Nemu, again, a beacon of conversation, is just like, I do not, sir. And Mary says, if you don't understand, then don't act on your own judgment. You do not have the freedom to die by your own judgment. You will die only when I order you to die. Understand? Now get up. And Nemu's just like, yes, I understand, Master Mayuri.
Dude, that whole exchange was fire.
It's a very good exchange where I feel like Nemu is kind of piecing together some of the pieces of herself mid-conversation. And I feel like Mayuri wants Nemu to admit that she learned that on her own, because that's a big deal to him. You know, like, did you just like directly disobey my order that I programmed into you? And if she was to say yes, Mayuri would be like, hell yeah, like I fucking did it. Meanwhile, Nemu was used to getting in fucking in trouble and exploded and poisoned, where she's like, no, I didn't. That wasn't me.
What's it? Resurrection of Soul is the new one coming out.
Rebirth of Soul.
I was just thinking, like, Mayuri zipping around, dodging all the arrows would make such a fun minigame.
Oh, it'd be sick. It'd be really cool.
So I lost my fucking mind. When the arrow missed and then the nerves touched it and it shot it back, I was like, oh.
It was a great shot when it just like immediately like a U and just flicks it back at him. Like, oh, that's crazy. Well, because you imagine what Mayuri's having to do, right? Not only is he flying around having to dodge, hitting any sort of buildings, he's also dodging a fuck ton of arrows at the same time. And he thinks he's in the clear when they go past him. No, I'm just going to bend it and shoot it back at you.
The nerves were already terrifying, but they can do that too. Like, fuck me.
So we cut to Nemu and we see her opening her eyes for the very first time. And we see a young Mayuri staring at her, and she thinks to herself, do you remember what you called me for the very first time? I love that name. And then we see Mayuri lean in and go, Ohio Nanago, which means good morning, number 7.
Anime only, by the way.
Oh, interesting. I didn't piece that together.
Everything else is in the manga. That was not.
Okay. I like that. And I specifically put the Japanese one because she's constantly referred to as Nanago. And then even the eye catcher is like, Nemu Nanago. That's what she's referred to. Obviously Nemu number 7, but I like it. It's cool. So we cut now to Nemu, and she's handing Mayuri the Hojuku Sai, which is the thing that he injects into himself to regrow his arm. And she says, forgive me for not giving this to you sooner, Master Mayuri. I stepped in to give this to you. And then she goes ahead and just fucking uses it on herself as well, which I'm like, all right, gang, like that's good. They both healed their arms. And she continues that I noticed when the attack began, you did not go through the medicine cabinet like you always do before heading out to battle. And Mary is like, how very observant of you, but also it's rather creepy. And she's like, I'm sorry. and then without missing a beat, Mayuri's like, all right, we're going back into the battle. Jumps off, goes back into battle. And I got like Attack on Titan vibes from this. Hits the button on his shoes, starts flying in between all these arrows. And now we see that there's not only one Pernida, there is now 3 Pernidas that are shooting arrows at Mayuri as he's dodging. And he takes this opportunity to go ahead and radio into Nemu to tell her what the plan is. And he says, as I fly around, I'm going to spray highly concentrated anesthetic over a wide area. I don't know how it'll affect the main body of Pernida, but during our last exchange, I measured the nerve density of the arrows. At this concentration, I am certain that it can neutralize the arrows, although this high concentration will also affect me slightly as well, but it's unavoidable. And he says, Nemu, your job is to inject the nerve coagulating agent directly into a nullified arrow. The nerve coagulating agent does not weaken the nerves by obstructing nerve transmission the way an anesthetic does. It will coagulate the nerve transmissions. It will forcibly stop all organs connected to the nerve in the state that they were at the moment when the agent reached them. In other words, once the agent takes effect, open eyelids cannot close, a contracted heart will not expand, an open mouth will not close. The whole time he is doing this dialogue, we get 2 things here. One, like I said, Mayuri is doing some insane dodgeball skills here. Dodging not only the arrows, by the way, but arrows with nerves on them, which is incredible. And we see Nemu doing the most beautiful Assassin's Creed parkour on the top of these rooftops, trying to catch up to where these arrows are landing so that she can stick that coagulating agent into a nerve.
She's doing that in heels, by the way.
True. And then she's also at one point like starts running down the side of a building. I'm like, oh my God, Nemu. Like, that's so cool. And so fluid.
They need to stop cooking that much.
So Mayuri, like, as this is happening, so Nemu's on the way now. Mayuri chimes in, or actually Nemu chimes in. He's like, hey, you're speaking way too loudly. And Mayuri's like, just silence, shut up. And he goes, I don't know what the body is composed of, but I've at least confirmed that it has blood inside. I will use this drug to coagulate its blood and kill it. The nerves in the ground have been neutralized by my anesthetic. It's safe to step on it. You must inject the drug before it can detach its nerves from the arrow. Nemu finally touches down to the ground, runs to an arrow, makes contact with it, and just as it begins to like turn one of the arms black, Mayuri's already taking this chance to glow. It's like it's over Pernida as he rushes towards Pernida, and his finger is like of the main Pernida that is starting to turn black now. Pernida, having learned from the best in the biz, having seen it about 5 times this fight, cuts off his own limb.
He rips that shit off, and it was so gross.
It is like, you gotta think, I love this idea of Pernida is like that really annoying fucker that's just copying everything you do. Whereas like they're blowing off their arms at a great expense to them, and they're lucky that they have this ability. They have this very sought after drug that can regain their arm. It's like that's a Mayuri exclusive right there.
Grimjaw would have loved that during the Iran.
Yes. And Pernida is just like seeing that. I could do that. I could do that, and just immediately rips his own thing off. It's like, oh, so when you get hit by something you don't want to, you just rip off the damaged limb? Okay, done. Just rip it off.
I would like to classify this fight as ew gross, the fight.
Very true. It is very bloody, very gory. Even the part when Pernida comes out of Ashisogi Jizo, it doesn't only explode, but you see like the fucking inside bits of Ashisogi Jizo like laying on the ground as he's standing inside of it. It was gory from like the first minute this episode went on.
Now, I did note they slightly censored that scene, because in the manga you can kind of see the baby's eyeball explode too, but they didn't show that in the anime.
That was a minor concession that we'll take, especially knowing the scene we get at the very end of this episode.
Oh man, they didn't censor that scene for Jose. I'm happy for him.
So Pernida yells, you think you can kill me with this Kurotsuchi? And Mayuri pauses and is like, wait a damn second. Now he's talking almost like Zaraki, and then he finally pieces it together, and it says, and he thinks it evolves by absorbing the data of everything its nerves connect to. And if that's the case, then its nerves have evolved to Zaraki's level, and Nemu won't stand a chance with her reaction speed. He turns to yell for Nemu, and we see the other arms uncoagulate themselves and shed the black that they had. And Mayuri's like, oh my God, like that is Matai Fuku and Shotai's ability. And Nemu is like on the ground watching this happen as Mayuri's like trying to juggle a million things all at once. And we see her eyes like freak out as it zooms in on her, and we go straight into flashback mode, and we see a young Akon and Mashiro's sister.
Tuna, that's her last name.
So Mashiro's sister hits a button when she wasn't supposed to be hitting anything, and it's probably the worst button that you would want to hit, as it reveals 3 fetuses in a jar. And Akon is like, dude, we're supposed to be getting this lab back together before Mayuri gets here. Like, what are you doing? And then Akon, of course, being the beautiful, loving guy that he is, he's like, I'm going to take this opportunity to explain exactly what these fetuses are, because honestly, if it was anything else, that'd be fucked up. He goes, these are early relics from the Artificial Soul Project, Nemuri. These are number 1 through 3, aka corpses, And in the beginning, it was one failure after another. We were finally able to create a brain with number 4. And then the fucking weirdo that's just standing in the background, just listening in all of this, he's just like, wait, was it number 4's technology that fixed my head? And Akon's like, yeah, please don't interrupt my story ever again. He doesn't say that, by the way. Akon, the gentle soul, would never say that. That's just how I would say it.
This boy Akon saved your soul society. Don't shed light on his name. He's the best.
And Akon continues on saying that number 5 reached the fetus stage, and using the technology, the captain modified his Zanpakuto and was promoted to captain. Very interesting. Also very interesting that it was the fetus stage that made, or was number 5 that made it to the fetus stage, and then his Zanpakuto, his Bankai, is a baby. And he's like, oh, I could do that. And then like, cool, happy to be here. And they say number 6 grew up to be about 2 years old, but then its cell division stopped and it died. That was basically the lifespan of an artificial soul's cells. And in the manga, we actually got a panel of like the 2-year-old baby collapse on the ground. Do you remember seeing that?
Yes, and I was like, they're never putting that in the anime.
Yeah, wasn't a chance in hell that was going to make it in the anime. But if you go back to the manga, you guys, check it out. It's not even like that good of a panel. But you just see like a baby that was very clearly mid playing with toys. And it is like face down on the ground. It's just dead. Not a laughing matter.
Well, we did get an extra scene to make up for it.
Okay.
So during the flashback of like Nemu's childhood, you see her in all the stages, right? She's like a baby and then she's drawing a picture. There were 3 of those little panels in the manga. They added one for the anime, which is her just taking a nap with like the freakiest looking doll I've ever seen.
That's good. They took out the one of a dead child and put in a very cute one. Perfect.
A cute one with a horrible monster right next to it. Yes, thanks. Thank you, Kubo.
Yeah. And then Akon finally explains that's why when number 7 outlived her lifespan, the captain was beside himself with joy. And then we cut back to the present and we see Nemu do like a fucking Superman jumping off the ground, destroying everything behind her. And now we go back again to a younger Nemu, and now she's walking through this hallway with Akon again. They're just besties. And she is asking why Mayuri refuses to call her by Nemuri number 7. Akon, eventually, after being pestered, he's like, okay, fine. Like, here's why I think he's doing that. And he says maybe it's because he's embarrassed. He says the captain said this: to create a new soul from nothing. In other words, creating artificial soul reapers is the dream of all soul reapers. But it's silly for one to dream while awake. Therefore, I'm naming it Project Nemuri. And Akon says it's the captain's way of being sarcastic. And then he goes, from here, I'll be speaking speculatively. Creating an artificial soul reaper is not the dream of all soul reapers, obviously. And he says it is Captain Kurotsuchi's personal dream. You eat, sleep, breathe, learn something daily, and grow. And during that time, Captain Kurotsuchi is living his dream. He's probably embarrassed that you'd notice that. And Nemu, not missing a beat, is like, oh, well, if I didn't notice that, would he call me by my name? And Akon's like, probably not, because you are the captain's greatest creation. There's no way you wouldn't evolve. And that's when we cut back to the present, as Mayuri is about to be grabbed by Pernida.
You forgot the important part of that. Akon gives the best smile known to man. Is he her other dad?
He's gotta be. I feel like it's one of those situations. Mayuri is the rich dad. Nemu is like, or Akon is like the butler that would raise the rich people's kids. You know, we're like, yeah, the dad is realistically Mayuri, but it's really the butler that's really raising this kid, and that's Akon.
Mayuri makes sure she's taken care of, money wise. He's also the one doing all the crazy experiments. Akon's the one who's like, you maybe might need to eat a little bit more. I'm gonna actually teach you how to use the bathroom, so you're not going on the floor like an animal.
And Mayuri's probably like, honestly, give her back to me when she's grown up and she's useful. I don't want anything to do with the little kid version of her.
Now, I imagine that he is interested. He's just like, I'm gonna watch from afar. I'm gonna write some stuff down, just for when number 8 comes along.
It's like, you're doing the boring years right now. Give her to me later.
I'm so upset she didn't call him Dad number 2.
So we cut back from that beautiful flashback with Akon, and we see Mayuri about to be grabbed by Pernida, and it's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And then Nemu comes flying in at like fucking the speed of sound and tackles Mayuri straight through Pernida's palm, exploding him. And which, by the way, they came out very clean. Really gross if you really think about it, to be pushed through a flesh object. That would be disgusting.
Once again, this is the fight.
So Mayuri asks, like, where did you get that power? And she explains that she actually went ahead and enhanced her body, the Soul Reaper body that he gave her, to the 0.8% right before critical breakdown. And she's like, don't worry about it. I still got another 400 seconds. I'm good. And Mayuri's like, dude, you did what? Like, I didn't order you to do that. And Nemu responds, not an order. It's my mission. My mission is to protect you, Master Mayuri. And Mayuri's like, no, like, your mission is to grow. Nemu, ready for that response, says, I believe I can show you my growth by protecting you. And then she fucking jumps away to go fight Pernida. And Mayuri is watching from the ledge that he's been put. And he's like, to think the day would come where I would leave a battle in Nemu's hands. How humiliating. Nemu flies right up in front of Pernida and does soul scission rate at 6%. And she says, I will shave away 6% of my soul and fire it directly at the thing to destroy it. Gikon Jurinju, and then shoots like a fucking yellow Dragon Ball Z blast right into the palm of Pernida, and that's when we hit the middle of the episode.
Gikon Jurinju means heavy artificial soul cannon.
Cool. That's such a cool fucking name. I can imagine that back in the 90s where they yell it. That's a Dragon Ball Z move right there. It's beautiful. Which, by the way, the animation again on that part was, so nice.
It was out of this world. Also, I lost my mind that was the halfway point, and I was like, part of me was like, but not enough happened. What if she doesn't die this episode? Is there enough time? I was losing my mind.
Well, I was shocked when I read the manga for the Friday beforehand. I was very shocked that she does her move. I remember reading it for the first time, and I, like, going off of memory, I was like, Nemu fights a lot. Like, Nemu does a lot in this fight. When I was reading the manga, it was like, oh, she did her cool cannon. Awesome. And then, like, the next panel, she gets fucking blasted. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I didn't realize how quick that was.
Immediately. Also, hey, once again, unless, I can't read it, but hey, the eye catchers didn't spoil shit.
So, and speaking of, I have the translations for the eye catchers this time. You ready? Let's go over Ashisogi Jizo. It just says, Zanpakuto of Kurotsuchi Mayuri. Oh my God, did you know that? Shocker. Captain of the 12th Division. When in Shikai, a baby's face appears at the base of the blade. The tip of the blade transforms into 3 undulating blades, and it has the ability to inject poison that stuns the limbs of the opponents it cuts. Its release command is scrape off. Its bankai is golden Hikisatsu Jizo. It transforms into a giant caterpillar-like baby and has the ability to scatter poison mist for 100 meters around it. It can also crush enemies with its huge body, which, if you think about it, that alone is not great. So, I mean, I don't want no baby caterpillar crushing me. It continues on that its modified bankai is golden Hikisatsu Jizo, demonic. Oh my lord, I can't even pronounce it. Demonic Taifukuin Syokutai, a variant of the bankai. I'm not going to pronounce the name again. It has the ability to give birth to a new bankai with the ability to fight back against the enemy based on information by Mayuri. So, did you learn anything there, Pythes?
I learned that they forgot the part that the baby can also, like, shoot out swords out of his throat.
True. Damn, Pythes one-upped Puro Films already. That's crazy.
I don't understand these eye catchers. Every now and then, I think, like, Core 2, they would have, like, some fire, but otherwise it's just kind of been okay.
I did just do a quick little read-through of the next one, which is about Namuri Nanago, and there is nothing of value in that eye catcher, so we're gonna go ahead and pass that. It's all things that were talked about in the episode already.
Shockingly, what could happen next?
And it's not like we talked about what the next panel in the manga was going to be, but this is the best part of the whole episode coming up right here.
It's the thing that you have been looking forward to this whole time.
Check the record. This is my number 1 most anticipated scene of Core 3. Nemu is falling as bits of Pernida are raining around, just all around her in the sky, and she turns to look at Mayuri, and this beautiful music begins playing here. I've never heard it before. I'm like, oh my God, like, this is lovely. This is great. And she thinks Master Mayuri, and right as she's falling, we see the chunks all of a sudden get their own eyes, and they point towards Nemu, shooting veins into her back as it fucking bloats her up. Like, it filled her up with a water balloon and explodes Nemu into chunks, leaving only like a wrist that is intact, and the rest of it is like blood goes all around Mayuri. The chunks are raining down. It sends Mayuri into depression. He lowers his head.
And I paused the episode and went, oh my God, Sam, Jose is so fucked.
That scene was so grotesque, so brutal. They didn't have to go as hard as they needed to there, but they knocked it out of the fucking park.
Whenever characters die in Bleach, unless you're a nobody, you get, respect. You get a scene. You get a Yamamoto getting cut in half, and then just all sad music. Or, someone falling down, you catch them and go, oh no, my brother. This one, she just explodes. She gets popped like a zit.
Was this the grossest death in Bleach as a whole.
Yeah, because someone was clearly going off their weird inflation fetish with that shit.
Someone went down, they sat down, they watched Akira, and then they went and they made this movie. They're like, this is what we're going to do. The only thing, weirdly enough, and maybe this is just me hating sea creatures, that makes something just as disgusting as this is that fucking Amagai arc where they kept sticking their hands inside of the fucking Zanpakuto that were like squids and shit.
Oh no, fuck! I hate that shit too.
so gross. That's the only thing that I can think of that's up there with this.
Yeah, but that's not a character test. That's just characters doing gross, weird shit. Speaking of Zanpakuto, Sam, I have done some modifying in my brain.
Okay, I'm ready.
I found a compromise between my idea that your Shikai should be a hand grenade,
Okay.
because Jose's idea that you have pocket sand. You have pocket sand that explodes.
Okay, all right, I dig it. It puts me very in line with the Shiba clan.
You know what? That works because Kukaku's your wife.
Don't tell my actual fiance that. Which, by the way, okay, this is a perfect interlude. If you guys, after this depressing Nemu scene, you guys are, man, like, I wish Jose were here. I really wish Jose was here to give his reaction. Jose did the live react for this episode this morning. We record this Saturday night. So if you guys want to watch that, if you guys are an audio only listener, of course, please check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/weebsguild. The links is in the description for everything that you need. There is a heavily edited version of him watching it where you get all the best bits of him watching it, all the reactions. He had to lay down as part of the reaction just to take a breather.
Dude, okay, so obviously I couldn't watch that because I was at work. So I came home, I saw it was up, I said, hell yeah. I clicked it, Jose's like, I gotta lay down real quick. I was losing my mind.
So that is up there. Now, if you want to watch the full unedited version where Jose really watches everything and you get the full discussion, there was a solid like 30 minutes of discussion Jose did after the fact. That is available on our Patreon, patreon.com/weebsguild. Check it out. Let me see. We have that full one up, and then you'll have this a full Bleach Boys coming up tonight. Then you'll get an extra Bleach Boys captains meeting at the end of this as well. There's so much good content for you guys on the Patreon. We would greatly appreciate if you would support us there. And of course, thank you to our captain level members, PV, Squad 1 captain, and we have a new captain level member on the Patreon, John. He's very active in the Discord. He's actually one of the boosters of the Discord. So shout out, John. Thank you so much for your support. And if you guys would like to have your name read out mid-episode or you want your name on screen, all of that is available as perks on our Patreon. All right, you ready to get what I wish was me during Jose's reaction?
Oh my, okay, so you're gonna take that picture, right?
Yeah, we'll take that picture. I think we got to take the picture. We have to be a Mayuri Xyloparo recreation. We have to.
You have the glasses for it.
I know. I just pink wig, just called a day. Easy peasy.
I guess before the funny memes, I just want to say the pastel colors on Xyle look so good.
It was really good, and I like that it made him almost glow. Oh, I loved it.
Like, you could really get Mayuri's mental state because there was no background. It was just completely black. And like the glowing Xyle there to taunt him.
Somebody asked Kuba, like, why do you keep bringing back Xyloparo? You know, you did it in the Mayuri fight, you did it in the Hell arc, and I love this comment that he gave about Xyloparo. I don't have the direct quote, but he just says that there's something about Xyloparo's character being so powerful that he likes bringing him back because when he's on screen, you know shit's going down.
Yeah, I thought it was just because he liked him personally.
No, he's just such a powerful character. I was like, cool.
I mean, I guess among the Espada, even characters like I think Holly Bell's, like, she's cool, but she doesn't have that strength of personality. Xyloparo is a character.
And he is a character that will tell you what he is feeling, what he thinks you should be feeling, and that's exactly what we get right here.
He's one of the few guys that can out-trash talk Mayuri, most of the time, at least.
Mm-hmm. And so we see Xyloparo. He appears, and he is giving this huge speech at Mayuri. I have the whole thing written down here because I thought it was so fucking funny.
Go for it.
And he appears and he goes, did you feel despair just now? It couldn't be despair, could it? And he just goes, huh? What was that again? Did I mishear you? Let me have a better look at your face. Like, that is the kind of shit I wish I was doing to Jose while he's watching the episode. Just like, hey, take those sunglasses off. I want to see your eyes. Let me see your eyes. Just get real up and close. And he goes, that couldn't be, right? Not you who lectured me about being a scientist. There's no way that could be. Your modified life form died. What's there to be sad about? Didn't you once tell me that perfection has no meaning to scientists like us? That you abhor perfection? Then you should celebrate its death. It died because it was not perfect. That leaves room to create something even better. That is what I thought you would say. Oh, I see. You were beginning to believe that defective meat puppet was perfect. How far you've fallen, Mayuri Kurotsuchi. You should thank that monster of a left arm. By killing your meat puppet, that monster crushed your arrogance and negligence. Despite your every effort, you are alone and helpless. What you thought was perfect was destroyed. If I were in your shoes, I would not be able to stop laughing. And just then, is like Mayuri's getting this verbal berating by Xyloparo, and just Mayuri grabs him by the face and just crushes him. And Mayuri goes, "You're absolutely right." He's like, "I can't believe it took a pseudo-scientist like you to remind me of my negligence. It is utterly comical."
Mayuri's so fucking funny.
I love that whole scene, and I hope we get more interaction between the two of them in the Hell arc.
Oh god, no, it has to be someone else. It can't just be they need to have some. We need new Nemu to talk shit to him.
Maybe Mayuri sees him and just leaves. Just like ignores him. Just like, we've already had this conversation twice. I'm out.
You know what? I would love if. So she seems kind of the same, but new Nemu, I want her to be a little shithead.
Because especially now that Mayuri knows it's possible for her to like learn all these things on her own, now we get to see, you know, like how they say with your first child, you're like overbearing. You're super careful with everything they do. You don't want them to hit their head on anything. And then now we see the second child, Mayuri, just like, free roam, do whatever you want, and she's just like a total shithead.
No, you know what? She's not a shithead. She's just a copy of him.
Okay, yeah, she follows him around, is like picking up his personality and his takes, so she's just an ass.
Oh god, she would be like a little Tokinata.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, so after fucking Xyle talks shit,
we see Pernida. He slams down like he's gonna crush Mayuri, but actually he didn't want to crush Mayuri. He just wanted to eat the remaining Nemu scraps. And Mayuri's like, "Go ahead. Eat until the last piece of her skin is gone." But then he sees Nemu's brain is about to be eaten on Pernida's tongue, and he's like, "However, I'm going to be taking her cerebrum back." And so he grabs it really quick, and Pernida did not like that because he goes to grab Mayuri to take it back. He doesn't want to share, and he gets shocked. And Mayuri is like, "Oh, well, don't mind me. Just go ahead and keep eating Nemu, because if you don't hurry up, you'll die before you finish." And Pernida's like, "What?" And then we see Pernida start to tweak out and just like start kind of expanding and all these bubbling up. Mayuri then explains that embedded in Nemu's pituitary gland that you ate is an implanted compulsory accelerated cell division organ that surpassed the artificial soul's cell division threshold. It is a special organ that functions at all times to allow the cells to continuously grow beyond their theoretical limit. It is regulated by directly connecting it to the parietal lobe via the basal ganglia. And he says, "Let me rephrase that even an idiot like you can understand." Thank you, Mayuri. Appreciate that. And he says, "If that organ is ingested by itself without her cerebrum, it will grow out of control and self-destruct." And then we see Pernida continuing to bubble up, like almost leaking out at one point, and just fucking explodes. And you see the blood go everywhere, the organs go everywhere, the chunks go everywhere, and we see this fucking limp like forearm just collapse to the ground with no palm, no hand on it anymore, still gushing blood as it falls. And Mayuri begins to walk away from this horrific scene, and that's when we see his poor little leg has also been just twisted into non-existence, and he falls to the ground. And Mayuri's like, "Damn, I guess a functioning nerve remained. I'm no different than Zaraki now." And just then we hear a couple of footsteps show up, and who else is it but the Squad 11 boys, Hikaku and Yumichika. And even Mayuri is surprised. He's like, "You guys haven't fled yet? You people are stupid beyond imagination." And Hikaku and Yumichika begin to carry him away as Mayuri instructs him. He's like, "Listen, 30 kin up ahead, under the ruins on your right, you'll find body preservation pods." We see them arrive at these pods, and the front two open, revealing Hitsugaya and Rangiku. And Mayuri says, "You two go ahead with them." And he says, "Don't worry, it took some time, but they should no longer be zombies. Their lifespans were greatly reduced, but I doubt they'd give someone who saved them grief over something so petty."
Good. I'm glad Toshiro gets to die sooner.
Let's go, Mayuri. Another good thing you've done. Hitsugaya hops out of the pod. He doesn't complain. Hitsugaya's like, "Hey, thanks, Mayuri." And Mayuri says nothing. And he tells the boys, like, "Hey, put me in the empty pod, and you can put Zaraki in the other one if you really want to." And so they throw Zaraki in as well. Hikaku and Yumichika then bow to Mayuri, tell him thank you for saving their captain. And at this point, Mayuri's like, "Damn, like I'm getting thanked an awful lot today. How unpleasant." But that doesn't matter as the pod closes and starts to fill up with water. He says, "Evolution. I finally created a soul from nothing that evolves on its own. I've surpassed you, Kisuke Urahara. Unfortunately, I can't picture the look of envy on your face. That will make seeing that look worthwhile. The next time we meet, I will show you just how much distance I've put between you and me. We'll show him together. And then it cuts to this scene that Jose wanted. I was trying to put black magic voodoo in the air to not get this scene, and it didn't work. We see naked Nemu floating down above Mayuri, and he goes, "You and I, ... and then we get the credits.
Sam, I saw you live try to do that, and I was like, he didn't sacrifice any chickens to the old gods.
Yeah, that's my bad. I didn't want it that bad. You know, I didn't go the full length, and that's my fuck up.
You were so close. I bet like Dagon was about like, yeah, you know what, Sam, homie, I got you. And then he's like, no chicken blood? Fuck this guy.
Yeah, he's like, damn, he went 3/4 of the way there and didn't finish it. Huh? That's bullshit. And then just nothing. I didn't get anything. Question for you, Pythes. And you may or may not know the answer. You may or may not know the question I'm about to ask. When Mayuri gets put into the pods, I had this question when we were reading the manga. There are 2 more pods behind those. Would we assume that is Rose and Kensei?
We would assume, because we don't see them again for the arc, but we know they survived.
So we would assume that they probably were zombified for much longer, right? Because Mayuri was actively using them and going around with them. So he probably had to, cook them a little longer.
I would actually like to think that the idea is way funnier. It's just that they're not as good as Toshiro.
But that theory falls apart instantly when you put fucking Rangiku in the next one.
We need her titties there for support. Their morale.
Maybe Mayuri knew that Hitsugaya is such a bitch that he just wouldn't go forward with that Rangiku. He's like, fuck, I gotta do this as a pair.
I don't remember a single other thing Rangiku does in this arc, so
And then Mayuri, you also think about it, Mayuri got personally assaulted by Zombie Tosh, and he was like, damn, I gotta bring this guy back stat.
Because that was one of the standout episodes of Last Core, Zombie Tosh being a menace.
Yep. And by the way, I don't think anybody expected this after credit scene. Insane.
No, but before we get to that, let's go back to some stuff. One of the most surprising things and one of my favorite parts of the manga is like Ikkaku and Yumichika are massive shitheads, so that they love Zaraki when they are on their knees going, "Thank you, we appreciate." They didn't even just call him they just called him like Captain. Thank you, Captain. It was so good.
Yeah, such a touching, heartwarming scene. And I just like that it really does show this like undying loyalty that Squad 11 has. Even Mayuri is like, I would have fucking left. Like, why are you guys here? But it's Squad 11. It's the squad for bros. And they're here till the end. They're going to support their boy and make sure everybody gets out okay.
Yeah, ride or die. I loved it. I also love, as much as I shit on Toshiro, we love the Toshiro's older brother joke. And I'm like, yeah, he's here now.
Someone was asking, like, who's your least favorite characters in Bleach? Toshiro, Rangiku, and then I don't remember what I said for the third one, but they're like, oh my god. It's like, really, I'm just a bigger fan of Toshiro's older brother, that's all.
I think I was asked that as well, and I said Hiyori. She's my least favorite character.
Low-hanging fruit of picks, but good picks.
There are characters that we don't care about. Like, do you give a shit about Aroniro?
I think he's cool. Do I have any sort of a heartfelt connection to Aranero? No. But half of the Japanese region seems to have a heartfelt connection with Kaien.
He's fine. I guess that's just a cultural thing. Let's see, who else do I not give it? I don't give a shit about Kira. I don't give a shit about Zamari.
Damn, a lot of people like Izuru. I can't believe you just threw Izuru on there.
But there are characters that I actively don't care about, and then the characters that I'm like, I hate every time you're on screen.
I mean, I don't like Izuru. I'm a big grudge holder from the battle above Karakura Town. I'm starting to piece together because I also don't like Izuru because he was such an asshole to the bird Arankar. That guy was begging for his life, and Izuru executed him.
It was war. You got to solve a problem.
All right, well, hey, I mean, that's why my Bankai exists.
I can't be mad because that the panel of him with his head in the crook of his sword was so rad.
No, I can't agree with that. If you go back and you watch, this is some old Bleach Boys footage. We watched that arc for Bleach Boys way back in the day. This is probably when Pythes was one of the only viewers. And me, Josh, and Jose got a big argument over that because I said that was bullshit. He shouldn't have cut that. I would have sent Izuru to the fucking slums for doing that shit. That guy had no more power. He gave up. He didn't want to do it anymore. And then Jose and fucking Josh were like, yeah, but it's cool. I'm like, okay.
It was really cool though,
sure.
Sam.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, hey, rule of cool. I mean, break whatever war crimes you want at that point.
By the way, I guess shout outs to channel growth, because back then we'd get like 60 views on every video. We're getting like 6,000 on every Bleach Boys now. That's pretty cool.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Let's talk about this credit scene because I have a comment about it.
I was so hyped.
It is insane, this after credit scene. Now, this is something we have been talking about for a very long time, and Pythe said that we put out a clip. The one thing that he wants from Lil Toto and Giselle is for them to do something, not
Literally
just
anything.
to get off screen, literally anything. And Pythe's Kubo heard you from the top ropes and fucking jumped in and delivered.
I literally wrote down in my notes, this is literally more than I asked for. They gave me 3 times more than I just said. Lily and Giselle. They gave me the rest of the Bambi. I was like, that's it. That's all I needed. Thank you, Kubo.
So we see Lil Toto and Giselle, and they are not on the balcony that we were talking about previously.
They haven't made it yet.
Giselle's like, wow, they even brought the arena here, which I guess they got an arena. Makes sense. They'd be training and doing fights. And then we see a bunch of masked Stern Raider up here. We're going to say question mark because we know what they actually are in a little bit here.
Now, Stern Raider are specifically the ones that have shrifts.
What are they called? Like Voldats?
I forget. They're base-ass bitch minions.
But they have a name, right? Because they had a name when they first invaded in the first
I thought
arc.
they were like Soldat or something.
Okay. So we see Soldat soldiers. We see Quincy soldier. We're going to use the very broad generic name. Some Quincy soldiers appear to fight them. And Lil Toto, yells, or actually Giselle, she calls it like, hey girls. And then we see the rest of the Bambies, as in Minnie, Candace, and Bambietta herself, which we knew Bambietta was there. We already knew that was the case. But Minnie and Candace are there as well. And Lil Toto is impressed. And she's like, wow, I got to hand it to you. You had them tag along with the city. And that's when all 5 of them begin to fight, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, Pythes, the animation when Bambietta was doing her thing was incredible.
It was great.
Like someone on the team loves fucking Bambietta because that was by far the most well-animated part out of all 3 of the Bambies. So they are all fighting their own things. Lil Toto's eating some of them. Giselle's doing her thing. Everybody's giving a pinching hand here. And eventually some of the masks fall off. And then we see that their heads are actually this like black sludge that has these almighty eyes floating around inside of their heads. And just as we get that realization as Giselle and Lil Toto are surrounded, we cut over to Jugram, and he's talking to 4 of the soldiers.
We get that scene you have been talking about forever.
Yep. Now, I am shocked that they put that scene in here. I'm so shocked because he's like, Uryu's fucked off already. He's had a fight, and he asks, why is Uryu Yoshida at Ainz Ost? And he says, don't let him out of your sight. Go. And just as they're about to all leave, all 4 of them get fucking blasted by Bazz-B. And Jugram is like, Bazz-B, what do you think you're doing? And Bazz-B goes, what am I doing? Shouldn't you be asking how I'm still alive? And before that, I cut out the line that I have been quoting this whole time. But he asked, like, wow, Uryu Yoshida bothers you that much. Shocked that we get that here. So shocked.
I did was it Brad Pitt? No, I did the Leo DiCaprio meme when I was pointing at the screen going, it's the Sam scene. He's going to be so happy when he sees it.
Yeah. But they did change it to where there's like these minor changes because, like I said when we were talking about it the first time, Jugram is talking to like this old man, Quincy soldier, that we've just never seen before in the original scene in the manga. And now it is 4 faceless soldiers that we know is like the same thing with the almighty eyes that gets blasted. Same scene, but in the manga it's very gruesome. Like his eye gets fucking blown out. So maybe they just have a thing about eye gore. Maybe that's what we're learning.
I mean, it's also like you don't have to hire an individual voice actor for this guy. If it's a bunch of mass dudes, you don't have to animate the lip flaps. And you're just like, we just saw that they have like generic soldiers, so it'll make Jugram seem more important if he's talking to like 4 dudes instead of 1.
So Pythes, with this after credit scene that we got, I'm going to specifically focus on the Lil Toto, Giselle, and the Bambies scene. They arrive at the Coliseum, the arena, and they bring back the zombie Bambies. And Giselle said that she had the other zombie Bambies hide along with the city so they got sucked up.
Yep.
You know who else could be hiding along the city to get sucked up that would have knowledge that works, Pythes?
Is it a certain man that might be a badass capable of shooting out the current Squad 1 captain?
Yeah, that is correct, Robert Acutrone, Pythes. The dream is
boy.
not dead, people. The dream, the door has been opened. We have been memeing on this forever, but the door has been officially opened for you to hide along the rubble and get sucked up to Squad 0.
So I have new fan fiction for that. and that has to do with what Komamura and Tetsuzaimon are doing.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so this is going to rely heavily, I guess, for the audience, because I don't know if Sam, did you ever play any of the Halo games?
I did. I played Halo 1 through 3. If you were to ask me what the story is about, I would have no fucking idea.
That's all you need to know is you played the 3 good ones.
Okay, yep, correct.
Okay, so here's my fan fiction. Here's my headcanon for what is happening off screen. Tetsuzaimon, Komamura, they get to the top with everybody else. They ride the rubble with Robert Akuchon. They're near. They're about to square off because they're enemies. They are attacked by generic Quincy foot soldiers. It gets into a point where like they are riding on Komamura's back like the warthog in Halo. And Robert is just shooting Quincy's with his gun. They're headed towards the tower where Yhwach is. The wave of Quincy's overwhelms them. Robert Akuchon sacrifices his life so Komamura and Tetsuzaimon can make it to the tower.
I love it. I'm on board for this whole thing. I love it. Let's send it. Let's pack it. Let's wrap it. Ship it out yesterday. Let's get it done. That's beautiful. And it's a beautiful
And at
scene.
the end, and like obviously they grow stronger. Their bonds grow stronger. They form a connection with Robert. So after everything is over, Yhwach is defeated. They find Komamura and Tetsuzaimon. They're exhausted from the battle. They're resting, but they have made a makeshift grave, and they go, "Who was that for?" And they just say, "A friend."
Love it. Love it. Done.
This is official Weebs Guild fan fiction, by the way.
Yeah, can we get an animator on that? Let's sort that out. That's a beautiful image. That would perfectly wrap up the Robert Akuchon and the Komamura, because also you think about it, it does work as well. Komamura and Tetsuzaimon were headed towards the giant Quincy pillar, the tower that they were already standing on. So that tower would have got sucked up to Squad Zero.
So like, in actuality, like if Robert was going to show up, I think it would be sick if like the Bambies are being overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of those goddamn people. And that's how, if you want it to match up with Can't Fear Your Own World, Candace, Mineas, they don't make it. Then like they're about to be overwhelmed and a bunch of Quincy's are shot with a gun and Robert's like, "Go on. You have a chance." And then he's holding the line.
And then Giselle leaves with him, Minnie and Candace. Like, hey, you can have those as backup. So that way they get separated and then we're back into Can't Fear Your Own World continuity.
Yes. And they can't figure out world except Robert's there.
So that was going to be my next question, because we talk about a lot about Can't Fear Your Own World, where those guys actually Can't Fear Your Own World. But with the new end credit scene with Giselle and bringing the Bambies up there, it really throws a little bit of a wrench into Can't Fear Your Own World. Because one of the first things I thought when watching it is like, oh my God, like for those of you that don't know, in Can't Fear Your Own World, the story has Minnie and it has Candace if they were taken by Mayuri. And they are now part of the zombie squad. Mayuri has put them into it. It's good. Now he's got people from all of the areas into the zombie squad. And Lil Toto and Giselle are still alive. They were in Hueco Mundo, and they're trying to figure out a way that they can go save the Bambies. They want to save the Bambies, regroup, and that's how they get involved into the story of Can't Fear Your Own World. So if we are still keeping Can't Fear Your Own World as canon, then they do have to get separated at some point.
So I was talking to Gabe about this because as soon as he finished the episode, he mentioned it to me. I actually don't think it's that big of a snag into canon. I think as long as the two are physically separated from Lily and Giselle, it's like Mayuri is up there. We can just say, oh, he wakes up from the pod and the battle's over, and he's like, oh, hey, look what I found.
Yeah, and it also could be like a very 2-second, like, you could think about it very deeply, like, oh my God, how are they going to separate Minnie and how are they going to separate Candace? It could be something very as simple as they all get destroyed and their rubble falls somewhere else. Like it gets blasted away. We already saw Yhwach shoot Yoruichi like 18,000 miles away. It could just be something as simple as Yhwach sees them, shoots both of them away, and that's it.
Like actually, yes. Like they get to Yhwach, they confront him. He just blasts those two off immediately.
So it's an interesting problem, and I like that they're back because obviously I'll take more Candace and I'll take more Minnie, and it also opens the door for our favorite man Robert Akuchon to return.
Our boy.
But I do like to continually compare it to Can't Fear Your World and see what stuff they are changing and if they're gonna revert back to that.
Like so far, nothing has come out that is just like, no, Can't Fear Your World can't happen because this was said or done.
Well, the biggest thing was Shinji's Bankai so far, right? That's the biggest thing.
And I mean, like, that doesn't mean you can't just still show it in Can't Fear Your Own World.
And I think they could still pivot from what we got with Shinji's Bankai, where we could go to, because in Can't Fear Your Own World, by the way, Shinji's Bankai is powerful as fuck. Like, he kills a bunch of things with it. So it could just be something as simple as, like, you know, when I had to use it in the Soul Side, I really had to restrain it. Like, it took a lot out of me to restrain that. Normally, it goes huge, and then we see that in Campfire World.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still a really good scene. I think
it's a beautiful scene.
The only thing that could, like, hardcore deconfirm Can't Figure Out World is if, like, at the end of this, they show, like, all the casualties, and there's just Tokinata dead.
Or another one that could do it is they're showing all the casualties. Someone walks up to Grimmy's brain and just destroys it.
They step on it and slip and go, oh no, what was that? Wacky.
Yeah, kind of like to give a middle finger to everybody that's read Campfire World. They're like, oh, hope that wasn't important. And then it just ends.
They just start grittying off screen like, ha.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the poem, and then we'll circle back. So the poem, not surprising to anybody, is a Nanao poem. Shared memories unspoken, the mirror transmits from the shadows.
I wonder if anything really cool with a mirror might happen next episode.
Shocker, shocker, shocker. So what did you think of the episode as a whole, Pythes?
I thought it was great. I thought this is how you do an episode that is basically a shot-for-shot recreation of the manga perfectly.
I gotta say, I agree, because we had talked about both with Shunsui and with the first Mayuri versus Pernida that it was 1-for-1, but it just kind of felt like a little off, right? Like it felt like maybe there wasn't a lot of substance there, even though it's 1-for-1 and an adaptation. I just turned to look at Jose, by the way, and he's like,
his ghost lingers on.
Yeah, that was just something that we talked about, and I feel like this one felt meaty, you know, pun intended. It felt really meaty. It felt good. The episode still felt very fast, but I felt fulfilled watching this episode, and I was like, damn, that was a good one.
I think the issue with the last episode and the one before was that those were both the beginnings to fights and not the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think also just because we know that the fight isn't done, as far as the Shunsui fight ended, like where it ended, you could just say, yeah, that's how it was done.
But like, how disappointing would it be if you like didn't know that the Mayuri versus Pernida was going to keep going, and you just thought that the initial bout was the whole fight? You'd be like, oh, that was kind of sucky.
But I still thought it was a pretty good episode. Like, a lot of people liked it. Did you hear that, like, last episode with Shunsui got, like, a crazy high rating? People are adoring it.
I think, and obviously you can have this opinion, I do not think that is one of the best episodes of Bleach. We talked about this when we watched it. I don't think it's the best one. Does it maybe rank top 10? I don't know. It could potentially eke out a spot.
For me, as a Shunsui simp, I've been a Shunsui simp for years. It is absolutely in the top 10. Top 5, no. Top 1, no. But 10, yeah. I got this up there.
I just think with the way that anime works now, and I think there's also a big hole because I don't think One Piece is going still. I think it's still on hiatus, where everybody's like, fuck yeah, we can steal that top spot. So everybody's just rating as high as they can to grab that top spot. But yeah, I did see that, and I think it even beat out the Yama versus Yhwach episode.
Yeah, their people are crazy. As a Shunsui simp, I say no, they're crazy. That fight was insane.
I agree with that, but it was a good episode. Nothing wrong with that. I'm glad that it stole the #1 spot because that's fucking hilarious. But yeah, I mean, it's
from my understanding, this episode is also doing pretty good.
I hope it does. I liked this episode much more than I liked the Shunsui Bankai episode. I thought this episode was way better.
Did you see? I saw this on Twitter, and I guess Jose did too, which is like, man, Kenpachi and Mayuri both lost their daughters.
I didn't even think of that. That's cute and sad. But
with the side-by-side of Nemu and Yachiro, and it's like, oh man.
They're such besties having the same problems together. It's so great.
They are very explicitly not besties. They fucking hate each other.
That's how all of the besties are formed. Think of something like Goku and Vegeta. That's how it works.
I hate that they're friends.
Did you have any last things you want to say about the episode?
I'm really upset. I didn't think we would, but I'm really upset we didn't get any shots of Hinataro.
Yeah, I mean, but what do you expect? I also imagine, stuff floating up with the castle. Maki Maki makes his return. The beautiful Maki Maki.
That'd be fucking sick. So when Mayuri ejected his arm, that's actually something we've known that he could do already.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In his fight with Uryu, I think he made a run. So Mayuri shoots his weird like extendo grabby arm. Uryu shoots it off, and Mayuri's like, "Oh, this is so stupid." And he pops it off, and that's when he uses the flesh healing medicine. And we're like, "Oh, hey, we can do that too."
Man, Mayuri and Uryu fights are filled with callbacks.
So great. So I just want to say I'm still listening to the opening.
Yeah, it's a banger. It's really, really good. Did you notice that in the opening, I saw it. People were saying Pernida as well. I didn't see Pernida. I did see for Lily Barrow that it is now in their awakening form, like their full standing form.
Well, I didn't notice that.
Yes. So I can confirm with my own 2 eyes. I saw Lily Barjo or whatever we actually pronounce his name, but I couldn't see Pernida. So maybe I'm blind.
That is very JoJo. So Sam, you obviously would know this. At the end of every JoJo season, when the villain has finally revealed what the power is, because they make you wait till the end of the series, the opening will change. Sometimes very slightly. Sometimes the whole opening will be completely different.
That's cool. I like that a lot. And I feel like it's the little touches where that does take a lot of work to update that. And it's for something super small, like, oh, they updated the ending. It's very cool. And it just shows that they're having a good time.
Yeah, because they'll have the ending with the villain is using their powers. Like in part 4, the bad guy can like rewind time. So like once that's revealed, the whole opening is rewound and then replayed. It's crazy. So it's really cool. And I just want to say, like, I don't even remember what the opening was for part 1. I hated it. Part 2 I didn't like, but I'm like, it's fine enough, I'm not going to skip it. This one I'm actively like, yes, I can't wait for the theme song to come on.
Yeah, I agree. I think the theme song and the ending were both really good. By the way, Jose was watching the episode and he just realized that the ending song is reversed.
Did we talk about that?
Yeah, well, we talked about that on the podcast. I brought it up. That just goes to show Jose's not listening to a goddamn thing that we're saying on this podcast.
But he's part of the podcast.
He's not listening to a goddamn thing that is said on this podcast. Because he in the reaction, he's like, oh, he's like, is the visuals reversed? And somebody in chat was like, yeah, since episode 7. All right. So as mentioned last episode, we did take some questions from the Discord. If you're not in our Discord, the link is in the description. Feel free to join. Like I pimp out every time, we have a legitimately very good time in there. We have a very good community working. We are fully boosted up where we get a whole bunch of cool roles and icons. It's a great time.
Unless you're me. I still don't have a role. I'm part of the podcast. What the fuck?
And everybody was clowning on Pythes the other day. I tagged him in the Bleach channel, and everybody's like, oh, it was Rez. It was like, oh, Pythes trying to find his tag in the Bleach channel. It cracked me up, dude.
It is an actual struggle.
Yeah.
That was not faked at all. When they made that meme, I was like, that is actually what it's like. It's me going, I will see a thing going, hey, you're tagged in the channel. I go, oh, cool. People want to talk to me. And I scroll, and I'm still scrolling, and I'm like, I've been scrolling for a minute and a half. What the fuck am I? Who mentioned me?
So there's 2 benefits to being in the Discord. 3 if you're a Patreon member. 1, if you join the Discord right now, you can tag Pythes in any channel that you like, and he has to go find it, and he will not be able to find it. So it's a little game of hide and seek you get to play with Pythes. 2, there is a Ask the Bleach Boys channel in there where we went ahead and took a couple of questions for questions that you guys want to see answered on the podcast. So we'll give you a little shout out. We'll answer your question. We'll discuss it. And I have about 5 of them here. That's a benefit. And if you are a Patreon member, now this is a super exclusive. Now, please note, we did say that he doesn't listen to a thing that we say. But there is a Patreon exclusive Discord channel that is in there. It's super secret. Only members of the Patreon can see it. John's in there right now, but it's one of the only channels that Jose responds to. I don't know why. I wonder if maybe he has his alerts on for that channel. But you can talk exclusively to all of us in the Patreon channel. Pythes actually finds his ats in there. It's a great time.
Not a lot of people are there, so if you at me, I can respond instead of spending 8 minutes looking. Why does Jose think I want his tears?
Yeah, I don't know why you got volunteered for that, Pythes. Sorry.
Because Jose, for anybody that doesn't know, if you didn't watch the reaction, Jose said he's going to bottle his tears and send them to me.
Yeah, he was going to collect them via his sunglasses and mail them to you.
I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with these?
So Riot72 got a sport and laughs, he says. How did y'all feel the pace of this episode was? Was it too fast or was it just right?
I thought it was perfect. It was what I wanted. I got everything I wanted and more.
And I think we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, how we kind of felt the other one was the previous episodes were not filling for me, at least. And it's put in terms of Lil Toto, I didn't feel very full after watching those ones. But when I watched this one, I thought it was a perfect set of, like we talked about, they just changed a couple of scenes. I think they moved like one thing just slightly back behind. They did such a good job adapting this. And it helped that the animation was incredible. It was so good. It was a feast for my eyes. I got to watch the episode 3 times because I edited Jose's reaction, then I watched it on my own, and then I watched it again for taking notes. It was a beautiful episode. It went by so quick, and it felt like even when the fight ended, there was still like a few minutes left behind because we got that really long after credit scene, and then we got that Nemu, or not the Nemu, but the Hitsugaya and Rangiku returning. I was like, damn, like that is a fulfilling episode.
So good. I was very happy with it.
Here's one for you, Pythes. I can't really weigh on this. This is from RDJR4L.
Okay.
He says, do you believe we are going to get an answer as to what Ichigo's Bankai does? I have no doubts that the fight will be extended and absolutely amazing. The series is going to end with a lot of unanswered questions, but even a tiny hint would be amazing.
Well, like it's actually, I always thought Ichigo's like his Zanpakuto's power was Getsuga Tensho.
The question was for Ichigo's Bankai.
A bigger Getsuga Tensho.
Okay, got it. Sorry, I thought you were just telling me he's gonna do like Getsuga Tensho over and over again.
He does. That's his power. His original Bankai took all his power, condensed it, and made him really fast. And also, he can shoot a Getsuga Tensho. I imagine he will be really fast, really strong, and can shoot a bigger Getsuga Tensho. He has 2 swords. He can shoot a really big, an even bigger Getsuga Jujisho. My bad.
There you go. Beautiful. Okay. It just turns into a full-blown nuke now.
My answer is no.
Judging by how they have adapted content thus far, my answer would be no as well, just because I feel like they haven't really been going, and like we talked about where Pythes is just so slighted, they didn't go into Ichibe's powers. We still don't know how Ichibe's powers work.
Both other members of the podcast got what they wanted. Jose got the really sick scene of all the characters talking. What was it, episode 6 or 7? That's one of the best episodes, I think, of Bleach. Mm-hmm. That I loved it. That's what he wanted. You just got to watch Nemu pop. You got Jose to react to it live and put that up for more channel content. And then I got to watch episode 1, Ichibe go Bankai, and then die and not explain how his powers work. Mm-hmm. I got fucked.
But they gave it back to you with Lil Toto content, Pythes.
They did. But like, I love Lil Toto because she's a cool character. I'm genuinely confused as to what Ichibe's Bankai could possibly do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they will expand on Ichigo, but also Ichigo is the main character. But also, it was never revealed in the manga, so how weird of a world would it be where the Hell arc starts, and now in order to understand the Hell arc and some of the stuff that happens there, you have to have watched the anime for 1,000 Year Blood War.
Ichigo, I think, works as a main character because his powers are not at all weird or confusing. It's he shoots a big sword beam, and it's very cool. I think that is his Zanpakuto's power, and I don't think we need to get any deeper than that.
Moving on to the next question from Zero Kroofy. He's our role giver in Discord, of course. He says,
Give me a roll, goddammit.
Do y'all think the idea of a Quincy or Ronkar is ever going to come back? Just think about it. Yhwach could turn Hannibal into a Quincy, and that might be a way to bring her back in the story, maybe even fight Grim Joe now.
It would be cool. I don't think it will, but I do know I was very upset that it never came back, because what was his name? Esbern?
I think it's Esbern. I think you're right. It's Esbern.
Yeah, because
Or is it Eburn? Is it Eburn?
Eburn. Is Eburn. I really liked his design, and I liked the idea of, like, an Arankar who's just like, I don't want to be fucking murdered, and also I get all this power. Being a Quincy's rad. And it's someone who's like, I imagine a character that would be like that is like actively killing themselves because like Quincy and hollow shit does not mix. I want it to come back, but I don't think it will.
I agree. I think it would be really cool to see a Quincy or Ronkar, but I guess, I don't know, maybe that is seen in Ichigo, and I think that would be kind of stepping too much on the turf of Ichigo. Maybe we'll see that in the Boruto Next Generations when everybody's just crossbred and you get all the different ideas of all the races mixing together, and then we would get to see like, oh, I'm 2/3 Ichigo, oh, I'm 3/5 Ichigo, and we just go from there. Still the cool idea, but will it come back in this 1,000 Year Blood War? Nah, I don't think so. I think we're long past that. I think your chance to have seen it though would have been with all of these the Quincy soldiers that showed up. That could have been a chance to see it, and I think we missed it.
If they expand on Can't Feel Your Own World, if it's not a 1-to-1 adaptation, I think it would be kind of cool if, like, while they're having their weird, like, war in Wakamundo, Lily and Giselle just have some Arankar Quincy's there with them.
I would like that.
They're like, I'm still on board this Quincy train, woo!
All right, let's finish it off with one more question from Zero Kroofy. If you can choose the hairstyle of any Bleach character, who are you choosing?
I just have Ichigo's hair, except I'm not a ginger.
So would you like to have ginger hair then, Pythes?
No, I'm happy being a brunette.
Do you think anybody in their mom would just choose Renji's hair?
I mean, I think Renji's hair is cool as shit. I just don't think I can pull it off.
That is like a receding hairline to the max.
That's a widow's peak. Okay, that's style. That's a Vegeta haircut. How dare
Yo,
you?
is that style? My bad. My bad. I think that the true answer would be the luscious locks, the beautiful white spiky hair that Jin Karya has. It is the only correct answer there.
I mean, his hair is actually kind of fire.
Yeah, it's great. I picked Jin Karya. Now, I would never in a million years pick Renji. I would never in a million years pick Shinji. Pass and pass.
I think Shinji's hairstyle is great for Shinji.
That's very positive of you.
Like, I don't know, I could kind of think of Cayenne because he also just has Ichigo's. I could go Hitsugaya.
Okay.
Especially when I'm old, I'm like, it'll just, yeah, that's just me. That's just what it looks like.
If I pick Yuha Baha, do I get the stash?
Absolutely. You said hair.
I get the whole setup. I mean, hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
I would go a step below that and say I choose Zangetsu. So then I just have the sickest like 5 o'clock shadow ever.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Would you ever go Zaraki's crazy hair?
Okay, I would go like current Zaraki where he just has long hair.
Yeah.
I think I like long hair. I'm growing my hair out now, not intentionally. I'm just too lazy to get a haircut. I would never be like, yeah, I'm going to spend an hour just sticking bells on the other sit and trying to walk through a door.
And if you guys are probably wondering, I wonder what Jose would answer this question. Probably just be fucking Grimjo. So worry no longer.
Grimjo's hair is cool.
Okay, well, let's wrap it there.
Has it been 5 questions? I feel like we only answered like 3.
Well, good thing that you asked that, Pythes. Let's head over to the Bleach Boys captains meeting where we're going to answer a few more questions. Now, if you guys are wondering, what could they possibly be talking about? We're talking about which character we think deserves a Bankai. Somebody wants to know, legitimately know memeing, who is our least favorite character in the entire series. If you guys want to check that out, of course, please check out our Patreon, patreon.com/weebsdeal to get all that extra content. And if you guys can't support us there, no biggie. Join the Discord, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Anything you guys can do, we greatly, greatly appreciate it. Like Pythe said mid-episode, we used to get 60 views an episode. Now we get almost 6,000, which is insane to think about. We appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us over this season, even though it is coming to an end. Hopefully just the show and not the support. So we do thank you guys, and we see you guys next Sunday for another Bleach Boys. Goodbye, everybody.